Good morning and welcome to the 8th Concession. My name is Natalie and it is early June, and so I thought it might be a good day to do the first garden tour of the year and see how the veggies are growing. So we're going to go start with the new garden behind me here. Let's go have a look. It's a little overcast today and probably a little bit buggy, but if nothing else, the weeds are doing great. So let's go see what we have in the new garden. So this is the very right hand raised bed, and in here we have, you can see a trellis, and right here in the corner we have a marigold that will bring some color and also maybe a little pest protection. Here on the very end of the trellis and on the end of all the trellis panels here are Scarlet runner beans. So they're doing great. They're starting to climb, which is fantastic. So these right here are Luffa Gourds. Now, I started them indoors last year and they came beautifully. Although they don't really like to be transplanted, if you do it when they're fairly small, they'll do okay. But this year they just didn't come, and I thought maybe the seed had gone bad, but it was only 1 year old. So I just threw some seeds in the ground here, and I think it just wasn't warm enough, even though I was using the heat mats. I don't really know what went wrong. But it doesn't matter. I'm happy to see them here. I hope they'll have enough time to grow. It's a little risky doing loofahs in zone 5B. Beside the loofahs, these two plants here, they're actually another type of gourd, a Birdhouse Gourd. And I got a bunch last year, and I've dried some out. And I still haven't made the birdhouses out of them, but I'm going to try and do that this summer. Obviously, it was too late to have them up for nesting season this year, but I'm hoping for next spring. So behind the trellis, you can see I have some Butter Crunch lettuce growing. And the space in between here I have re-sown just recently, so hopefully we'll have a steady supply of lettuce. Because there's so many things I want to grow and I never seem to have enough room, you'll see I have crammed in a lot into my beds. Here, this little one and this little one, these are two small hot pepper plants that a friend gave me. Now they're not doing so great. Well, they're getting some new growth. They're getting some new growth there now. But I'm hoping they'll still come. It might be too late for them to set enough fruit for our short growing season. And then around the edge you can see I have some celery growing and a few stray lettuce that where the seeds must have blown around a bit. But there is some celery. I had good luck with my celery last year. Now down here, all along the side, you can see I have leeks growing right here. I'm hoping they get nice and big. I like to chop and freeze them for soups all winter. And in the middle here, the big leaves are rutabagas. And because, as I said, I cram things in, there's actually a bit of a row of carrot there that might not be getting enough sun. Another marigold on the corner. Leeks again up that side. And on the far side of the turnip, there are some parsnips. In the pot here I have some sweet basil growing. I've taken it up off the ground though, just because we've had some rabbits coming in to the garden here. So here you can see the parsnips growing. they seem to be doing fairly well. At the end of each of the beds, you can see I'm trying a grow bag this year. They have potatoes in them, because I like the idea of being able to take them into the house, just using the handles on the grow bags, and put them in my cold storage in the dirt still, just take the tops off. I saw that on another channel and I thought, what a great idea for storing the potatoes over the winter. So I'm going to try it this year. The rocks here on the edge are simply, this is very rocky ground, and as I was trying to weed beyond the beds here, these are just some of the rocks I found. So over in this bed, also with more rocks on the edge, you can see under the net I have some cabbages growing. Now these 4 seem to be doing great. There are a few holes on this cabbage here in the leaves, so I think I didn't get the net on in time. I didn't put it on as soon as I planted them, and that was my mistake. I waited a little bit and I saw one white moth, and I think probably laid some eggs before I got the netting up. Next year I will make sure I get the netting up the day I plant them. So around the edge here you'll see there are some beets, but there's also, I had planted some onions that I had grown from seed. They didn't do super great, so they're kind of sporadic in between. You can see there's some more down at the end here in between the beets. Down here I have celery and beets along the edge. Now the cabbages in the middle here, they didn't take very well, so I've kind of re-sown with some more rutabagas underneath there. I needed to use a root crop that didn't need pollination, so I threw some more turnip or rutabaga seeds in there. Here we have 2 more Birdhouse Gourds on this side of the trellis. They grow like crazy. They'll take over. And then a couple more Luffas. And again, right at the end, we have the Scarlet Runner pole beans. And one of the marigolds is blooming. Right at the front here, this is a hot pepper. I had a pack of seeds that were just mixed hot, so I'm not really sure what kind it is, but it'll be some kind of hot pepper. Again, some celery and beet all around, and this is another hot pepper from that packet. Again, I don't know what kind it is, but with those sort of black leaves, I'm thinking it's going to be pretty hot. I have to excuse my chickens. They see me and they're looking for their treat, so they're calling. Here is just some zinnia seeds that I planted, again for some color and beauty in the garden. So that is bed number 2. And again, at the end, you can just see peeking over the edge is another one of the grow bags with potatoes in it. So now in this bed, again, we have some zinnias on the corner, and I've tucked the beets in anywhere I could because I figure they'll be pulled out and processed before the plants shade them out too much. I like my beets small. If I can, I like to can them when they're just little balls, just little, about the size of marbles or a bit bigger. I find that makes them really sweet. So these 2 plants right here are tomato plants. They are a cherry tomato called Tidy Treat. I grew them from seed. They're doing fantastic. Now these plants are perfect for pots. If you grow tomatoes in pots on, say, a balcony, because the plant does not get very big, but man, are they prolific. I had 3 plants last year and it was way too many. We couldn't eat the cherry tomatoes fast enough, so I went with 2 plants this year. Here we have our Scarlet Runner beans at the front of the trellis. He just needs a little help to start climbing. And the marigold in the corner. Now beyond the Tidy Treat, we have some pepper plants. Now the first row, the first 3 plants right here, these are jalapeno. And then the 5 beyond that are Hungarian hot wax. My husband loves hot pickled peppers to put on his burgers and sausage. So I've got 5 plants growing. I can see but some of them are already getting some tiny little flowers right in the middle. They're starting to set. Oh yeah, there too. Starting to set fruit already. Excellent. He'll be happy to see that. Now in this bed, these are all my plum tomatoes. I went with an heirloom variety this year. Last year I did a hybrid because it said they were resistant to blight. With our ground being very wet here, I struggle with blight with my tomatoes. So I paid extra for the hybrid blight resistant plum tomatoes, and it made no difference. So this year I went with an heirloom variety so I can collect the seeds. So this is, I have to remember the name now. I'll have to put the name on the screen of what kind they are. They are looking beautiful. Now I am going to prune these back off the ground a bit more than I have yet. And you can see that I've mulched with some grass clippings that we had. When we do our property here, there's a lot of clippings, and we let them dry for a day or so, and then I raked them up. So it was more like hay than grass clippings. They were not green grass clippings. They were brown when I put them on. And I'm hoping that will also help, because blight lives in the soil, and when it rains or the plants are watered and the soil splashes up on the leaves, that's what transmits the disease. So by keeping your tomato plants pruned at the bottom so leaves aren't touching the ground, and you can see, even though I was out here 2 days ago, I've got some more leaves touching the ground. I will pull them back, trim off the bottom leaves, and keep that mulch on there, hoping that I can at least delay the blight until I get a good crop off, because these are my sauce tomatoes, my plum tomatoes. So I'm looking forward to making tomato sauce and canned tomatoes. On the corner, another marigold that I grew from seed. Still hasn't bloomed. You can see some of the treasures that we find digging through the soil here. The garden here, you can see the reeds behind me. This was all reeds. We've reclaimed it, but I guess the previous owners kind of used the reeds as a little bit of a dumping ground. And we keep finding things as we dig through the soil here. So there's some sort of old metal handle and some broken bricks. Here's another one of my fabric bags with potato in them. This marigold is getting so large, but again, no blooms. Along the edge here, I have some more onions. These are Walla Walla onions. They're doing super great. So I think they will get nice and big. And again, I'm hoping that the tomatoes won't shade them out before they have a chance to get really big and I can pull them. So on this second trellis here, these are my cucumbers. So at this end, I have 4 plants of slicing cucumbers, and then, oh no, sorry, it's 3 and 3. 3 slicing cucumbers and 3 pickling cucumbers. So they're doing great. Whole beans on the end. I like putting the beans there. They add a lot of color to the front of the trellis, and of course, beans. And in the last raised bed here, we have again marigold, pole beans, 3 pickling cucumbers, 3 slicing cucumbers, and you can see that this is another bed of tomatoes. These are my slicing tomatoes. Now I have 3 different varieties in here because again, last year I bought hybrid blight resistant seeds that were not blight resistant. Well, they weren't resistant to my blight anyway. Maybe I have special super strong blight. I don't know. But it did nothing. So I went with heirloom seeds. So at the front, I have a determinate type in 3 of the cages called Sophie's Choice. And then I have a type that the company sent me for free. I actually only bought 2 different kinds of slicing tomatoes, but they sent me Peron sprayless. They were developed in, I want to say, Brazil, and they're indeterminate, so I know these cages are not going to hold my tomatoes. I'll probably have to switch out to some sort of pole or staking. Some of them here might actually climb up the outside of the trellis, but I realize what I've done. Back here is the 3rd type of slicing tomato, the one I did buy. It is an heirloom variety that's originally from Ukraine, oddly enough, with the world events going on. I didn't know that when I ordered them back in December. They're called Volkov. So they are growing massively, so they're going to be fantastic, I think. I'm very much looking forward to trying these new varieties of heirloom tomatoes, and I have one of each kind of these tomatoes actually planted in different parts of my yard, 50 feet away from each other, so that I can actually collect the seeds. So whichever my favorites are, I can collect the seeds and grow them next year. Now around the edge of this garden, I've tucked in some pepper plants. These are California Wonder, so they're going to be green bell peppers. And they're also starting to set some fruit, which is fantastic. And these at the back are also some peppers. They are also bell peppers, but they are different colors. Just a variety of colored bell peppers. Orange and black. It was a package of mixed seeds, so it's going to be a surprise what colors we get. My grow bag potato. And up this side, as I said, I plant pretty thickly in my beds. Oh, hey, there's a little snaky. We have a lot of garter snakes on our property, and we love them. There he is. He's just visiting. Eat the voles, eat the voles, eat all the voles. They do such damage here. They climb, they dig holes under my cinder blocks here. So yes, you're welcome, little guy. Please eat the voles. Along the edge of this as well, I have more Walla Walla onions. And you can see they're doing great. Now at the front here I have a pot with some dill, and again it's off the ground because of the rabbits. Damn rabbits. And right at the front of this bed you can see the starting of some parsley. So that will grow big and give me plenty of time to dehydrate it for the winter. So those are the 4 raised beds in what we call the new garden. Now at the back, we got the grow bag potatoes, but this here, this weed patch, I am not trying to grow weeds, although I am very successful at it. This is actually supposed to be corn this year. Last year I had the corn in the old garden, but this year I decided to switch it up and put the squash in the old garden and put the corn here, switch the 2 around, because there was such pest pressure with squash bugs. I thought, well, maybe if I move them to the old garden and give them a break. But the corn is not doing well. I don't know why. I have seen some red-winged blackbirds dropping down in here. I'm wondering if they're eating the corn. I have re-sown it already. You can see there's one plant there. There's one there. There's one back there. But I mean, that's not going to give us any corn. There's 3 rows planted here, and it's just not doing well. You can see I put down a little piece of netting that I had just as an experiment. If it is in fact the birds who are eating the corn, I thought, well, maybe I will check that row and see if that helps, and if those actually sprout, we will see. Now at the front here of the new garden, you can see outside the fence I have my blueberry bushes. Well, I have 1 healthy one and 2 that are trying to decide whether or not they wish to grow. The weeds beyond them look fantastic. The 2 blueberry bushes are not so sure. Their leaves are a bit sort of yellow, although they're coming green in the middle now. I put more peat moss down to make it more acidic, but they are not the happiest plants in my garden. My new blueberry bush, however, is doing fantastic. These two smaller ones were given to me by a friend. I don't know if they're going to make it, but I'm very happy with my new blueberry. Looks like, actually, I might even be setting some blueberries already. That would be so exciting. You'll see that I've used the same dried grass as mulch in this garden. This garden suffers from weeds so badly. There's no way with a garden this size I can keep up with the weeding, especially because I've planted the pumpkins and squash in here this year, and that leaves so much open space in between. Now you can see lots of weeds are popping up in between, but honestly, that is so much better than last year. So I do want to get down here today after I finish filming and pull out some of those weeds, but it's still a lot better than it would be without that mulch down. So, start on this side. So right against the fence here, and amongst the weeds, I have zucchini. So there's 1, 2, oh, the third one's got a flower. 3, 4, 5, actually 6 zucchini plants. The ones at the front here are yellow zucchini. And then the next couple are an heirloom variety, an Italian variety that are striped. I really like them. And the last couple are just the ordinary green zucchini. Then right here, I have my Dutch set onions. You know, the little ones you buy in like a bag. They're doing great, although they'll benefit from a quick weeding today, which I will get to. Then all here in the middle, there and there and there, all the way to the back, those are pumpkins. Now, I don't typically eat pumpkins. I'm not a fan of pumpkin pie, don't shoot me. But we do have a family jack-o'-lantern carving contest with my grown children, and we have a lot of fun doing that. So I usually grow the pumpkins for that, just out of interest. Over here, I had spinach planted in the spring, and we only got one crop off of them before they bolted. And, oh, you can see there's damage on the leaves. Because the weather here it's just been up and down and up and down. It's hot one day, it's cold the next. So the spinach is bolted early. So I got one crop off them, and then I thought, well, I'll let them go to seed and collect the seed from last year. So these 3 little teepees here, they're really just some extra cucumber plants that my friend had that she didn't have room for in her garden. I didn't have room for in my garden. But this one on the end is supposed to be a lemon cucumber. This one an English cucumber, and this is a mystery cucumber. I know that those little teepees are not going to be enough for them to climb on, but they were spare and lying around, so I thought, well, I'll get them started on that, and then I can always add a pole or something afterwards, if they grow. They're kind of sad, and being surrounded by all the spinach, I don't know, they were just leftovers. Here in the corner are my peas. These are snow peas, or I pick them while they are still snow peas, and I use them in stir fry. I've had to put them in these cages because of the dang rabbits. But they're doing great. They're starting to climb on each other. And I think we might have some before too long. These are my potatoes. They seem to be doing fantastic. I actually didn't buy any potatoes this year. The potatoes I grew last year were the Yukon Gold, which is a yellow-fleshed potato. And I had bought a bag of seed potatoes, and they did great. But somehow I missed a basket of them in my cold cellar, So they had already gone soft and were starting to sprout, so I thought, well, I'll just plant them instead of trying to eat them when they're so soft, and they're doing great. Oh, I do see, though, a potato beetle on one of the leaves. You are not my friend. So, and then past some of the pumpkins. Some of these were seeds of giant pumpkins. And then right along the back, along with the weeds, which I'm going to tend to today, those are sunflowers. So we do like to eat the seeds roasted, but I also like just the look of the sunflowers. That's a mixture of red and yellow back there with some more pumpkins in different spots. They'll soon be taking over. I can tell that they've just started to really grow and take off, as have the weeds. So that's it for this year's first garden tour. I'm excited to see how everything grows and changes. I'm going to try and do these regularly because I just love to see everything get bigger and produce beautiful, healthy vegetables for our family to eat. So until next time, bye for now.